So a new Luciferian who finds a connection to the ideology that you are the only God that is, that you're responsible and you're accountable for your future, manifesting your desires, overcoming your obstacles, balancing and exploring the depths of darkness and light, totally separating yourself from Judeo-Christian monotheistic duality. A Luciferian who understands and finds a certain type of balance and harmony with the chaos and the order which the adversarial current brings will want to eventually move to the next step of, let's start practicing magic. Now, most people don't have, and I hear this through various avenues, and I'm not blind to the fact that I understand people have busy lives. So most people want to know quick facts, a little guidance, purpose, and to just get on their way in practicing. And with Luciferianism, you can do that. And Dragon of the Two Flames, which is going to be the centering kind of concept of this video, should be kind of a beginning point for new practitioners coming over from the Lima through Levian Satanism, through paganism, Wicca, whatever it is. That's really what Dragon of the Two Flames is for, because it's a gateway, if you will, a grimoire, which really bridges the gap between ancient Near Eastern temple cults and modern Luciferian practice in a very practical way. These aren't abstract workings or deific mask that I've reintroduced. So basic practice, if you take Dragon of the Two Flames. Now, this grimoire is around 600 pages. Yes, indeed, there's probably a lot of knowledge, techniques, studies that many, especially new Luciferians coming over from another path, will not really need. And that's fine, but those who really have that extra desire or drive towards going deeper into the studies, it's there for you. One of the core foundations to begin with Luciferianism and Dragon of the Two Flames is really based around, I understand there has to be simplicity in initial practice. Okay? So I actually have a working in the grimoire that's a non-ancient Near Eastern practice. It's actually from the Tukdano, it's adapted. It's called Tunnanu Basmu, which essentially is the 7 chakras, and it's the Tunnanu or Tannin, the dragon, enchanting the fire serpent, or Kundalini. Yes, I know that's outside of this Canite pantheon, but it's very effective. And I want to say that anybody who looks at my works and says, bullshit, I challenge you, as a matter of fact, to take Dragon of the Two Flames and apply some of the ideology with the magical practice on any basic level. You will achieve insightful results, mostly for the better, I would think, depending on your approach. So the practice of evoking and stirring the fire serpent, which is related to Isatu and Davibu, the two flames, act as a coiling double serpent through the chakra centers. Those chakra centers are related to the 7 unclean spirits. Now, of course, this goes back to the Utuk Dano and the Persian, Indo-Iranian, Indian ancient practice of the Archdevas and Ahriman. But more importantly, this does a couple things. It clears the mind. It gets energy flowing in the spiral wound kind of aspect to which magic may begin to take place, may begin to be focused, to be sent forth. The energies of each pierced chakra center will empower and lift off your cultic workings, no matter what deific mask you're working with. And you can utilize the Tunnanu Istami Basmu, or the Fire Serpent, right, just as a meditative thing daily, or every other day, just for, it'd be good if you could get it up to a half an hour to an hour. You can do it up to 15 minutes if you're really focused. Now, how in depth you will get at stirring the Fire Serpent, Kundalini, is, I can't say, that's up to the individual, but it's a very dangerous practice if you're not sound in your ideology and your aim. So think of it as putting in shape the discipline of will, desire, and belief, with a practice towards a goal of building and empowering your daemon, bridging the gap kind of between the daemon and deific mask or gods. Okay, now on a basic level, ideology, Luciferian ideology in Dragon and the Two Flames is very simple and straightforward. It's that you are accountable for your future, and magic has to be a process of knowledge, so study. I've given plenty, probably more foundations for the ancient Near Eastern gods and demons as kind of archaeological, etymological, and pantheon studies from temple cult records and so forth. So you don't have to come into Luciferian ideology and practice thinking, I'm going to summon a goetic demon and see it literally, or I believe in the fallen angel, devil. It's not about that. This grimoire shows you and points you in further, deeper directions that does not exist in the way that you may have perceived from a Christian influenced monotheistic upbringing. Remember, first rebellion is the adversary, Satan, Lucifer, to break away from the dualistic thought. But it takes time to utilize the current, the adversarial current of darkness and light, fire, as a temple and manifestation of those deific masks. You will become that temple for those powers. Your daemon essentially becomes Lucifer over a period of time. In the ancient Near East, the concept of the daemon, or true will, is paralleled to some extent with a concept known in Babylonia and Mesopotamia as a personal god. Now, personal gods, and there's not a ton related to those, but they're actually deific masks or representations of energy, nature, gods essentially, that are very much part of another person, an individual. Many in the ancient Near East would adopt the specific deity as their personal god. You see it in the Assyrian and Babylonian king inscriptions and so forth. I want to really caution Luciferians who begin the practice of the daemon and identify it automatically with Belial, Lucifer. And I say that because you're going to find that there are attributes that identify, that connect to you. You're going to adopt some of those symbols, those aspects, those kind of shadow cloak concepts that are going to become a part of the symbolism and representation of your daemon. But you don't want to corner yourself by directly identifying with any one specific deific mask. As Alucel, my daemon, has gone through a very stressful growth and evolution and crossing the abyss process numerous times over, and has different symbolic imagery depending on what pantheon I'm working with. That is interconnected with my subconscious and visualized by me as the personal god. Now, seeking the daemon is always a troublesome and abstract concept for new magical initiates. What the Black Adept has to understand is that it's not an overnight process, and to some varying extent, you already have a small connection. You're not going to hear a voice. If you did, it's probably schizophrenia. You're not going to have something just shine in the corner of your room and dictate a book to you. You may be inspired to write a book. For instance, Aleister Crowley's Book of the Law. His daemon illuminated his imagination, boom, and a very useful and deep magical tome. Your daemon may guide you by dream, by instinct alone, towards all those things you have to do. So understand that to begin a process, you need to start with the Tunnanu, the Fire Serpent Chakra, to develop the control of the mind, body, and spirit. Developing that spirit. Your psyche has to connect to the subconscious and thus initiate forth the daemon. And that's a long time process. Some people it's very quick, some it takes longer than others. That's okay, just as long as you're working towards it. When you come into contact first with your daemon, like I said, you're not going to have the fireworks, the great revelation type of thing, unless you're on some kind of mind-altering substance, which I don't recommend for that. But what you're going to have happen is through a period of a few days, during when you first feel this instinctual guidance, like you know there's something you have to do in your life. Whether that's a hobby, job, I don't know. That is going to guide you. For some males, it could be their job. It could be a sport that they're into. Something that they excel at. If you're an artist, it'll be art. And it's not always a clear choice. A lot of times, instinct comes to you. And how many times in a year do you ignore instinct and push it down because you don't feel sure about it? The Black Adept understands that he is becoming a powerful magician or Cassipin through the results of you have that instinctual guidance and you take it without question because you trust that, you feel that that is the correct path. You don't have to go consult with 5 different people in some weak-willed way. You do it. You make it happen. That is a clear indication of where you're at magically. Because when that will is focused towards something, nothing, apart from death or some kind of strange accident, can stop you. The black flame of Melammu, representing the daemon, is kind of illuminated, or those fires are fanned and developed in a spiritual sense through your workings and your results and your daemon's shadowing forth. So that's really where you begin with Dragon of the Two Flames. You have that basic practice. You can use any ritual of any deific mask in the 7 categories of, whether it's a storm god, a war god, overcoming obstacles, stuff like that, to open a pathway to your daemon. It really is up to the individual and their attributes and what they find a connection to. There's no strict formula for that. Once you establish the ideology, something that you can practice in a daily context. The ideology of Luciferianism really starts very small with the things you kind of take for granted every day. That can be anything from exercise, from something you have to do, maybe for a family member, mother-in-law or something that you don't want to do, to your work and how you deal with conflict or stress at work. Luciferianism, if you look back to the Bible, the adversary, and works like that, you're establishing that your thought, first and foremost, how you approach it, is going to shape how you're then going to command it by using words. Words are very important in magic, in daily life. Things you say, the way you say them, can really affect the outcome of events. So when you're using your thought, then you're saying things in a way that is never going to be directly confrontational. If you're trying to achieve something, you want to get the buy-in of the people that you're going through with your job or whatever that is. You're using all those aspects of your daily mundane life to then shape them according to your will. Now, if you do this for 6 months, say you're practicing the Kundalini, the Tunnanu Chakra points, you've been able to really gain a control, a calm, and a focus during your initial meditations. You understand as an ideology what you want to achieve, and you're putting steps in place. You're getting results, and the results are going to build what people call spiritual faith. Luciferians don't have spiritual faith initially. You have faith in yourself, determination, and once you start accomplishing, as you build up that kind of communion with the daemon and the psyche, and that experience becomes wisdom, then you start to build a spiritual faith, which for a Luciferian is nearly unbreakable. You don't put it on the line if you want to do something that your God tells you not to do. Luciferians say, okay, well, can I live with what I'm going to do? Is it reasonable to anybody that's going to be affected? Because you don't want to step on other people, in the sense that, seeking the next stage in human development as an individual is very important. We don't want to destroy the planet or anything, That's Christianity. Now, Luciferians do understand that, we're kind of pessimists in some ways, because you look at the stupidity in the world and you think, and you know that you'll protect yourself at any cost, and your family. So you have that ideology of understanding how the earth, how nature is predatory. It's creative, it's nurturing, but it's also violent and harsh. You too must be able to adapt in that system. Morals within Luciferianism, Dragon of the Two Flames, for instance. This is how I define that. It's pretty cut and dry. And if you follow this structure, it helps society, really. So let's look at humans. You have kind of 2 categories. You have first the human who kills for purpose. So what would purpose be? An invasion, a war. You're in the army. You see the benefit of that. You hunt and then you eat the animals that you hunt for defense. In political situations, for power in the past. Today, you'd undercut your rival to get that higher position if that's your will, if that's what you're going for in your work. That is how I really kind of gauge purpose. It's not just completely selfish, because everyone is selfish. Even the Mormon who's picking up trash on the side of the road, it's because he's going to get a reply, that reward system of, oh, I did good in God's eyes. Well, Luciferians say, we're selfish. However, part of our pleasure, in most cases, comes from seeing those around us happy. So it's kind of a win-win. You have to look at things like that, because then you don't have to worry about the good versus evil thing that people try to throw on you in a moralistic type way. People have essentially everyone has the right to live as they wish, as long as it doesn't infringe on you. That includes Christians. I rarely engage people in arguments about Christianity, even when they say God bless and throw all the garbage at me, just because I don't care if they fade away into darkness tomorrow. They're idiots. And the ones that are negative, the destructive element in Luciferianism, and these are the types of people that should be weeded out, because they hurt the evolution of society. Those who kill for pleasure, children. Look at the Inquisition, for one. Half those people were not witches or Satanists. Killing for thinking or being different. Christianity is great at killing, monotheistic religions, killing people who are different. And selfishness, environmental dangers, corporations hurting animals, dumping toxic waste. Those things should be kept to a minimum. It's just common sense things. And don't let the almighty dollar dictate everything you do. Luciferians have to develop a type of borderline spirituality within the self and who we are as individuals. Bottom line, it's balance. It's the light of wisdom, of strength of Melammu, or the black flame character. And it's really about feeding or using the darkness to strengthen and to fuel our continual evolution and initiation into essentially gods. And when it comes down to practice of magic and Luciferianism, the Daemon will often unveil things for you, and that's why I'm really pushing Dragon of the Two Flames, because it's that complete Daemonic, illuminating, inspiring grimoire.